Good morning, everyone. KJ here. Kathleen Curtis says, good morning, Rays, placing a blessing on this day. And this day is day 11 of testimony in the Lori Daybell trial. Yesterday was a whopper, very emotional. A lot was said, and at the end of it, the end of yesterday's testimony with Steve Daniels, it wasn't something that we all were really happy to hear. The first week of testimony in this trial, we were getting through the graphic photos, descriptors of that, and now we had Steve Daniels adding more specificity to the grave sites of those dear, precious children. Good morning, everyone. Mary Stone, Dawn Spencer, Ziggy D09, Mrs. Chief, Angela, Teresa Moore, Anne-Marie Atherton, Nicole P., Tina Reddington, It's Just Robbie, good morning, Olive Heatley, CIM, Tanya C., Just Looking, Renee, Sugarbutt Starburst, Merrill Melville, Vintage Mama of 3, Willie Williams, Rowan to You, Katara, Jennifer Esslinger, Miss Frisco Wynn, Chris Arnett, Wendy Bastings, Dodging Bullets, Tracy Howard, Heather Strock, Lisa Tagalablu, I can't say it, Erna Anspich, Nessie Eden, Private 91, Illegally Blonde, Deanna 333, Strawberry Madge. Good morning, y'all. Good morning, Ariel the Mermaid. I hadn't seen you in a while. Debbie Bukes, Kawaii Mom, Renee, Kelly Cantrell, Evangeline Light, International Nikki, Grandma B. All right, y'all. Yes, today is 11 days of testimony. But Nate Eaton says it is day 16. That includes, y'all, voir dire and jury selection. The day 16 of the Lori Vallow Daybell trial. FBI Special Agent Steve Daniels will be back on the stand this morning. And y'all know how hard that was yesterday for old KJ. It hurt me and it hurt many on here, especially all the Rays. People that are visiting on here, I appreciate you being here. Rays, if y'all see any questions in the comments that you know you can answer, would you please help OKJ out? Also, if you see any bots, if you see any derogatory comments or anything like that, ignore them, block them, or report them. We're trying here to get justice through understanding. We're going blow by blow with Nate Eaton. Nate says in the courtroom and ready to go, Lori just walked in, y'all, wearing a white blouse and a dress suit. Many observers who hasn't seen Lori in person but have come to the trial have told me she looks older than in previous photos, y'all. Y'all think she's aged in that damn jail cell, huh? Y'all think she can't get a hold of her fillers and her damn Botox? One person told me that Lori looks like she is in grandma mode. Meanwhile, in Chad's case, y'all, a status conference is scheduled for May the 4th at 3:45 p.m. So when we're looking at a status conference for Chin there, they're going to be getting together and they're going to give his ass a court date for his trial. And back to this whole thing about one person saying that Lori looks like her grandma, is in grandma mode. Well, I'll tell you something. She will never know because she murdered her children. And she will never know what Tylee and JJ in their lifetimes could have done. Yes, Kobe has children, and it's just a damn shame, y'all, that she couldn't just be happy. And I've got a lot of opinions from a lot of the Rays, along with myself. We're going to try to get to some of those later during the breaks so that we can fill some air with some content. Also, remember, Rays, Saturday, OKJ will get together with you in the Ray Room chat. So, another day, and we're probably going to hear some more of this graphic stuff about the gravesides, at least finishing up on that. And we're not really sure, obviously, who's going to be up next. Moose Girl says, I feel so bad for those beautiful kids, Tylee and JJ. What happened to them is so sad. Amy in Boston says, Lori ain't had her Botox. Oh, thank you, Kathy Benya. I appreciate that. Jennifer Esslinger says, hooray, aging, failing, shriveling, shrinking, decaying. Lisa Fisher, there's a good possibility there might be a medical examiner, the autopsy reports. We're going to perhaps we'll find out some causes of death. We've already been given a clue on that in opening statements from Lindsay Blake. Asphyxiation for Tammy Daybell. But if there is a medical examiner on y'all, this could go on for a couple of days. Y'all, I mean, I'm sure y'all realize that. Thank you, Lynette Day. I appreciate that. It's just me and the Rays here. We've been getting together for over 2 years. We've tried to fly under the radar and get justice through understanding on research analysis and you. That's what RAY stands for. We've been doing this for over 2 years, and when all this came about with no cameras in the courtroom, we really weren't sure how we were going to be able to see all this fall into place. And so it kind of just developed on its own. I had no idea that this is where we were going to go with it. But as the Rays remember, when I first opened that channel and I fell all over myself, and I still do, we went with East Idaho News, Nate Eaton, and Justin Lum. And Justin Lum, he's in Arizona. He had to go back to cover other news stories, but he is supposed to be back near the end of this trial. I don't know if it's for closing statements, if she's convicted. I don't know if it's for sentencing. But I think the wet blanket of all that is if she gets convicted, y'all, it's already been said, they'll do all these pre-sentencing reports and all that. When they convict her, it's not going to be right going into sentencing. It'll take about another month before they sentence her. But hopefully, by that time, if she's convicted, they'll have cameras in the courtroom and we can actually see her and have her see her ass nailed to the wall. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, a lot of opinions about yesterday with Summer Shiflett, and y'all know how I've been about the Cox family all this time. And I said yesterday evening on a live stream, I said that I had mixed feelings after hearing Summer go off on Lori. There are still things that I don't appreciate about Summer Shiflett, but there is no doubt, y'all. There is no doubt that Summer was absolutely tore to pieces. And she went off the deep end with Lori, and I'm glad she did. It doesn't make up for things that she said in her past, but it does line up with what she said to Lori on the call, where she said, I've always backed you. You know, I knew about your beliefs. I tried to be supportive of it. But little did Summer Shiflett know that it was going to end the way it did. And folks, Lori buried herself in that call to go and say, well, yes, I was on the beach getting married and smiling and jumping around and dancing. But that, with the kids, that was months ago. That shows you the psychopathic nature and the narcissism this woman has. Ain't I supposed to be happy? I don't want to be alone the rest of my life. She didn't think a damn thing about the lives of her children. She didn't. All she was thinking about is herself. And that's got nothing, absolutely nothing to do with any kind of belief system, really. Because if you think about it, all she ever talked about, I think Maria P. said it, me. And we'll get to those comments, because old KJ put on the community wall that after hearing that yesterday and hearing Lori so calm, cold, just cold-blooded, and the way that she was trying to basically, make Summer feel like, well, Summer didn't really know the deal. Folks, I really believe Lori's going on the stand. I've said it for a while now. She's going to try to school everybody. She's going to, this is just an opinion. I could be wrong, but I believe she's going to, y'all. I really do. That she's going to go on the stand. Now, all the attorneys are headed back to meet with Judge Boyce in his chambers. Lori remains at the defense table with her back toward the gallery. John Pryor, Chad's attorney, is here. There are 3 benches on the left side of the courtroom behind the defense table. The front 2 are reserved for defense witnesses or family members of Lori. I sit on the 3rd bench behind those. So Nate's got him a good seat today, y'all. Good morning, Direbite PR. Hello, T.S. Jackson 72. Good morning, Gene P. Good morning, THX. Good morning, Cindy K. Again, just a warning, y'all. Steve Daniels was on the stand yesterday when they dismissed. He was going to be back on here again. They had just gotten to, y'all, J.J. Vallow. They had gotten to the point about the 3 flat white rocks. The only people who have ever sat on the reserved rows are John Pryor and the defense team's investigators. Judge Boyce is on the bench. Jurors are being brought in. Good morning, Barbara Hamilton, Ocean Surf Girl, Marilyn Pastor. Good morning to all of y'all. Good morning, Tracy Cruz. So the judge is on the bench and the jurors are being brought in. Good morning, Bryn Marshall. Good morning, Jessica K. Dora Pinion, Heather Chasen, Karen L, ABZE. I don't know how you, and I want to say this, if y'all got YouTube names that, see, I'm just an old country girl, so if I can't say it properly, please understand that, okay, Jay, I'm doing the best I know how to do. Hi, Sarah Wolseley and Anna Brown, Nicole P, Tipsy Terratot, Deborah Blue, Maria Thomas, Miss Carmen, True Court and Crime Junkie, good morning. Deborah Tutela, Jack Gustafson, Diane, good morning. Cook Gus in Florida. It's good to see a lot of y'all in here. I appreciate y'all being here today. I'm assuming many of y'all listened to the audio last night once it was released. It does kind of all fit together once you've, hi Marty Smith and Eliza Witt and Jessica K. And Pearl D. Carib, K-Tech, Lisa Vega, RDNAC, Bullseye, Kelly Wellens, Margot Jones. Yes, Margot, I sure was there until I had to leave. When they brought in that audio about, what we had discussed blow by blow with Nate yesterday, I said, I can't do a double take of this. So I left. Good morning, Jackie H. So again, y'all, Judge Boyce is on the bench and the jurors are being brought in. Hi, Kim DiMaggio, Bama Cat. Bama Cat, it was Detective Steve Daniels in law enforcement there who was going over, all the grave sites and explaining what they had found. And they called it a day, so he'll be back on the stand this morning. It's FBI Special Agent Steve Daniels, okay? Good morning, Stacy B. Also, let's also keep in mind, y'all, that the Rays have been researching this for over 2 years, and many of them are in the chat now. They have a lot of information that OKJ, I've learned from them, or they know themselves. You can learn a lot from the comments, y'all. It's not just about what OKJ's talking about on here, although that's what we're all doing here, blow by blow with Nate Eaton. But remember, the Rays on here, they're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant people. Okay, y'all, get me through it. Get me through it. Madison County Prosecuting Attorney will continue questioning FBI Special Agent Steve Daniels. We now see an exhibit on the screen showing an overhead view of Chad Daybell's property. Hi, Lollipop Guild, Mother Bear, let's see, somebody. Daniels, y'all, is discussing the burial site 1, the site where JJ's remains were found near a tree in the yard. Thank you, Rowan, to you. And y'all, if you don't mind, I know it sounds kind of silly and stupid, but OKJ's, I get a little emotional about this stuff. If you want to and you feel so inclined, please put hearts in the comments as we discuss these burial sites. It would, because if I look over and see the hearts, it'll make me feel better. I know that's kind of silly to y'all, but it'll help me through this. High language of horses. Hi, Mark McGarry, daughter of Scotland. Thank y'all so much. I know there are many on this live stream right now that has a heart for this case. I know there have been many of the Rays and I that we've cried, we've shed tears, and it's just a sad, sad thing. And that comes from having a very sensitive and loving heart ourselves, and compassion and love. It touches us deeply. Some people don't get upset or anything if they don't know the person. It's just something that, after all this time of us seeing this stuff on the news and seeing all the crime in the world and all that, we get a little desensitized to it. But there's always people out here in the world that it just absolutely tears their heart out to hear about this stuff. So I appreciate all the people that have a heart for this case. Now, FBI agent Steve Daniels describes a raised berm at the burial site with shorter grass on the top compared to longer grass in the surrounding area. Once police discovered the potential burial site, they removed the vegetation layer by layer. Yeah, Sheila Bowker, JJ hits me so hard. Y'all, I'm telling you, it's so sad. Good morning, Norma. Andrew F., you're right. There just isn't enough love in the world, but there could be. There could be enough love in the world. Renee says those poor babies. Yeah, RD and AC here in summer was heart-wrenching. Good morning, Marilyn. Good morning, Tara Santmyers. Tara Santmyers, when you say I feel bad for thinking Summer didn't care, I'm right there. I've always had this, maybe it was out of my own, jumping to my own conclusions. I still, even after that, I don't trust the Cox family led by Barry and Janice there. I'm sorry. I'm not saying they're nefarious. I'm just saying that I don't trust them. But after hearing Summer, I agree with that. I do. I've got mixed feelings about it. I'm on the fence about it. I've got 3 sisters of my own. And I love them, and I would want to be there for them. Yeah, Debbie Hersko, that was another reason why I had my feelings towards Summer, but when she said out loud in that jail call, I even went on national TV or whatever and took up for you and all that, it kind of just, things kind of fell into place for me. All right, a photo is now on the screen showing the large rocks that were found at the burial site. Daniel says this was a good indication that this was a burial due to the precise manner the rocks were placed. And as many of the rays on here know, that paneling and that those rocks really could help from a burial site from sinking in. And a grave digger would know that, don't y'all know? It was Chad Daybell. I absolutely believe Chad Daybell knew exactly what he was doing when he created these burial sites. I mean, entirely, what, bricks? Some concrete thrown in there for good measure? These people are sick. Now we see boards found below the rocks. Daniel says it looks like they were strategically placed. I probably excavated approximately 5 to 7 burials. Out of all those burials, this is the most precise. Somebody's taken the most effort to bury these remains, says Daniels. And Daughter of Scotland, thank you. Y'all also, Daughter of Scotland is putting these tweets in the comments. Lollipop Gill says a coven of pure evil. Margot Jones says it just broke her heart when Summer said that Lori threw him away like trash. I believe it, y'all. For all those that are putting in the comments, this was Chad's handiwork. You damn Skippy. He used to be a sexton. He was a grave digger. He took a lot of pride in doing that. That's right, Jennifer Esslinger. Chad's using his experience. Daniel says you would place planks and rocks to prevent wildlife from finding the human remains. If they scattered the human remains, a neighbor or someone else could discover them so the grave isn't as hidden. Now, this is something I didn't think about, y'all, but that makes a lot of sense. I thought it was so that the grave wouldn't sink in, but I do believe that would be a good reason as well. He also says once human remains decompose, here it is, y'all, there's a sinking in of the soil and there's a berm to it, B-E-R-M to it. It will level out over time. So we were right, Rays. But there was also something we just learned. I mean, I know this is going to sound creepy to y'all, but what if some dog would have come in the yard and decided to start digging there? Andrew F. says, let's call a spade and then use the spade to hit Chad. RDNAC says the raccoons. Okay, y'all, help me through it. Once the planks are removed, we see a black piece of plastic. At this point, Daniels took his hand and brushed aside the soil from the black plastic. Daniels said, I made an oval shape in the ground, and it made an oval shape in the ground, and it had the feel of a human skull. That's what I presumed that it was. Daniels took a razor blade and cut into the black plastic bag. It's tight to whatever is inside. I had to pull that black plastic bag off and make a razor cut blade cut into the bag. Thank y'all so much. This is... Under the black plastic bag is a white plastic bag. Daniels cuts the white plastic bag and human hair starts coming out with the razor blade into his hands. That's the point we decided these are human remains. This becomes burial site 1, and it is JJ's burial site, Daniels says. But don't y'all know that Lori said, oh, that was months ago when I got married. That was months ago. That woman needs her ass stomped. So does Chad. This is just upsetting y'all to start the day like this. Raccoons are scavengers, if that answers your question. The next photo shows a wider shot of the burial site. The team needed to carefully sift through the dirt. They divided the grave in half, grid A for the top part of the body and grid B for the lower part. And let's just keep in mind, y'all, when they started to unearth JJ, that's when that damn asshole took off. He knew his time was up. He tells Lori in that jail phone call when she says, well, what do you want me to do, pray? He says, well, let's see what transpires, i.e., let's see if they find the bodies. These people are sick. Debbie Hersko says Chad is a coward 100%. You know, Teresa Moore, I'd like to know that myself. I'd like to know what was in Chad's backpack. What, his Superman underwear? His temple garments? What do you think? Daniels says multiple tools were used: shovels, rakes, metal trowels, wooden tools for flesh or organic materials, clay molding tools, tongue depressors for skeletal remains, and more. Brenda Breeze, I think common sense says where Chad was going. A lot of people think he was trying to flee. You know, where was he going to go? I think he was headed over to his attorneys. That's what I think. That's where I think he was going. I could be wrong. He could have been fleeing, but I don't think he did. I mean, where was he going to go? They'd have caught his ass. They'd have caught his ass at the airport. They'd have caught him on the interstate. They'd have caught him. Where was he going to go? Was he going to go hide out where? Who was going to take Chad Daybell in the day the kids' bodies are unearthed and the police are announcing we found 2 sets of human remains? He didn't have nowhere to go unless, of course, these are the unknown people in the indictment that we don't know who they were. The next photo shows duct tape on the black plastic bags. Daniel says duct tape can contain good forensic evidence, y'all, so they wanted to be very careful. We see another photo of a complete black plastic bag with duct tape on it. Now let's stop there. He takes the time, y'all, to say you can get good forensic evidence on the duct tape. He didn't have to say that. He could have just said, overall, generally speaking, we were careful so that we could try to get forensic evidence. But he points out specifically duct tape. And I guarantee you, just from hearing that, because he's setting it up, y'all. I believe it. They're going to come out with some evidence of either fingerprints or DNA or something on it that's going to tie back to Lori, Chad, or Alex. And let's not forget this, y'all. When it comes to the legal aspect of conspiracy to commit murder or even first-degree murder, the bottom line is you don't have to be the one who physically did anything. Conspiracy means someone in your conspiratorial group there did one overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. So it don't make a damn bit of difference if Lori was in Hawaii during the time Tammy was murdered. A lot of people don't understand that. They think you've got to prove to a jury that you were there, that somehow it shows that you were the one that was actually the principal or the one who physically did the murder. And then when you look at conspiracy to commit murder, you can be anywhere in the damn world and conspire with people. The next photo shows decomposition that was leaking out of the plastic bag. Samples were taken of the decomposition, and y'all, that child was so vibrant and beautiful and loving, and everybody loved him. And for it to come down to fluid from decomposition, it angers me so bad. And I have to stop myself from thinking, I can't wait till she goes to prison so somebody can beat her ass. I shouldn't be thinking thoughts like that. But I'm so damn angry about all this. The following photo shows burial material laid out on a plastic tarp next to a blue tent area. Another picture shows a wide shot of the backhoe next to JJ's burial site. Steve Daniels says, once we found JJ's remains, we knew Tylee was around here somewhere. Tylee was going to be somewhere near JJ. Was Tylee buried underneath JJ? Steve Daniels asked. And we had to be very careful. Nothing else was found in burial site 1. She loved that little boy. That was her little boy. That was her little baby. Tylee loved JJ. And this FBI agent is saying when they found JJ, they knew Tylee had to be somewhere close. Marilyn Pastor says Tylee was JJ's mom. I think Tylee probably took care of JJ a lot more than Lori did as he got older. It is MN. It is hard to hear. Hi, Zero. Well, Erna Anspich, I didn't see that on his Twitter feed that Kay and Larry Woodcock wasn't there this morning, but could anybody blame them? They've already been there during the graphic photos, at least Larry. I'm not sure if Kay was there. I don't know who looked and who didn't. And really, that's the victim's family members. That's a private thing that they've got to deal with. Deborah Tutela says, I hope Larry and Kay are okay. I know Larry and Kay and Cresha K. Easton of Difficult Research. I know they're all going to be all right. They're leaning into their love of their own family, their memories of JJ Tylee. They're also a strong family. So just put that in perspective, y'all. They found JJ first, and then they found Tylee. And because they found JJ, they knew Tylee had to be close. And it's just, to me, ironic that Tylee was the first one murdered, and then JJ, but it was JJ who was found first. It's just so very, very sad. I would say Amy in Boston, any law enforcement agency that has to deal with stuff like that, these people do. They probably do need therapy, or they need to talk it out or something. Mark McGarry says, imagine the jury's recoil at this finding. You know, these juror members have been hearing it all, y'all. And now here they are. And they just heard Lori, cold-blooded Lori. Oh, hussy Lori. They just heard her on a jail phone call just yesterday. I want to be happy. I needed to move on with my life. That shows you right there. I don't know if the state of Idaho's prosecution team here was that precise in their planning of all this, but to throw Summer Shiflett and Lori's jail phone call in the middle of this kind of testimony kind of brings it home for old KJ. Although the Rays on here know we knew that damn hussy was guilty from the get-go. Oh, trust me, Teresa. The jury heard everything that was said yesterday. Now, Rob Wood asked to admit an exhibit containing ERT, which means it's short for Emergency Response Team, photos taken June 9th and June 10th. Okay, so y'all, we're going to have to go through some more photos here. Andrew says psychotic indifference. Now, Harley 62, you and Tina Reddington are on here talking about sexy men. Does somebody want to explain to me how you get from what we're talking about to that? Are y'all trying to distract me so that I don't freaking fall apart on all this? Psychopathic, says THX. Jody Allen, you can be sure that the state is going to work that in. That Chad Daybell was a sexton. You think Alex is going to go out there and be able to dig that grave in 17 minutes, he's going to have all the materials waiting on him. He's going to have the rocks. He's going to have the paneling. He's going to have the tools. And here's Chad Daybell fixing to have a scheduling conference on May 4th who says he was framed by Lori and Alex, according to Chad Daybell's daughter, Emma, who went on national TV. Give me a break. I believe it, Goodwill Squatter. Nobody's going to tell me otherwise. Chad Daybell made both of those graves. You think, what, Alex is going to pull bricks and cement out his ass and go over to Chad's without Chad having any idea what he's doing? Give me a break. Now, these are the photos that were just shown to the court, but Wood wants them admitted so the jury can review them later rather than having to view the interactive presentation we just witnessed, says Nate Eaton. But John Thomas objects and says it's cumulative to admit them again, and Boyce is concerned that the photos would be admitted twice, but believes they would assist the jury, so he allows the admission. Tammy Daybell went to work Monday through Friday. She worked in the school system. And as many of y'all know, I know people personally. I mean, I was a substitute teacher for 7 years, K through 12 in alternative school, of all age groups and everything. You have to get to the school early, and you're usually there till at least 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So Tammy wasn't around during all this stuff. Tammy couldn't have known. Now, some have said, well, what about Garth and Emma and all his other kids? That's a question that OKJ can't answer in terms of theory. Good afternoon, Britt Strand from Norway. Oh, they're going to show plenty of evidence. I think they, just like that poll that I put up on here on the live stream, a majority of y'all say thus far it's already proven Lori's guilt. Of course, some of y'all are playing it a little more close to the vest, either saying no or I'm not sure. And that's fine. There are no right answers. These are just opinions that we all have. Well, I think the reason Lori told Summer, I'd love to tell you, or, or whatever, I just love to tell you what happened and everything, but I can't, is because she can't. Because, number one, she knows she's being recorded through the jail system, and if she told the truth to Summer, that would seal her fate. And number two, she don't want to tell Summer what really happened, but she does in some ways. She runs off to a beach to marry that damn asshole, knowing that her children are dead and rotting in Chad Daybell's backyard. We're waiting on a refresh, y'all. Yeah, I believe that too, Moose Girl. I'm glad, because it was such an emotional thing for Summer that Lori did. You notice how Lori was very calm and she really measured her words through the whole conversation. She didn't want to get herself in trouble, but Summer was so emotional that Lori, for one brief second, slipped up, saying, oh, well, that was months ago. Don't you? And I didn't want to be alone. I wanted to go on with my life. Go on with her life because of what? Because she murdered her children. Pure and simple. There's no other explanation. And while we're at it, why don't we look at it like this? If her attorney is saying in legal documents she didn't know before, she didn't know after, and she wasn't the principal, and she knows now that Chad and Alex did this, why in the hell? Why in the hell would she stay married to him? And on top of it all, and it looked quite clear to me when she says, well, that was months ago. Then she had the knowledge that her children were dead. Say she didn't do it, but it just happened. Chad and Alex did it or whatever. And she goes on to a beach to marry that damn crazy ass man anyway. Come on, y'all. Come on. Now, Rob Wood asked to admit another exhibit containing more photos from the crime scene. Thomas objects that the pictures are cumulative. They were shown in the interactive presentation, but Wood wants the jury to have hard copies of the pictures. Boyce overrules the objection and lets the photos in. Oh, of course John Thomas doesn't want jury members, to see it more than once. John Thomas thinks, well, damn, they're looking at this presentation on the screen here of this terrible stuff. Maybe it'll kind of fade as this trial goes on and they won't really be thinking, how bad this is. But now they get to go back. Maybe they can use them during deliberations. Of course, John Thomas don't want them to see them twice. I don't know what the defense story is. I still don't. I know they brought out yesterday in Summer's testimony that Lori was a wonderful mother and things were fine until she met Chad. Well, let me just say this, and then I'm going to move on. I don't give a damn who comes into your life that makes you change your belief system or what kind of belief system it is or anything like that. It is criminal and against the law to murder people, regardless of what influence someone had on you. Are we saying that all these people that followed Charles Manson, they get in with him and they were suckered by Charles Manson to do all this crazy ass murdering and stuff, and because Charles Manson had them by the balls that they're less culpable? Give me a break. Now Rob Wood asked to admit another exhibit. Again, more photos that were in the presentation. Thomas again objects based on the fact that pictures were already admitted in the presentation. Boyce overrules the objection and allows the photos in. So they're continuing to enter in to evidence these photos, y'all. Margaret, when you talk about the more they medicate Lori, the less she'll be able to feel, let me tell you something. She wasn't medicated when she was killing her children. She wasn't medicated when her and her brother ambushed Charles Vallow. The woman was a freaking psychopath before the state of Idaho Department of Health and Welfare started medicating this woman. If for nothing else, maybe the medicine makes her realize and feel even more. Because, most of the time people think, well, when you take that mental medicine, it makes it where you can't feel anything. Well, I'll tell you, she wasn't medicated before then. She wasn't on any medications. And look what she's capable of doing. She had feelings before, but now that she's taking medicine, she can't feel nothing. I don't buy that. I get it, and I appreciate the theory, but I don't agree with that. Did y'all sense in her voice yesterday on that phone call with Summer? You know me, Summer. You know, it was almost like she was trying to let Summer know that she's some powerful woman, just really deviant sounding. Then she goes on when Summer says, I just can't believe you would do something like this. And Lori says, correct. Correct. Why can't she come out? Why can't she come out to Summer and say, Summer, I'd love to tell you about it, and I'm going to now. I had no idea. I just didn't know that Chad and Alex was going to do this. Give me a break. She didn't. She didn't say anything. She was protecting herself. She was protecting her king. She sure did. RDNAC. You know me, Mel. Remember the secret recording with Melanie Gibb? You know me. You know me, Mel. Give me a break. She is pure evil. Yes, it was MJ. It was very controlled. You know, in just moments of hearing her talk with Kobe, and he says pure blasphemy, and she starts giggling, almost like an uncontrolled giggle. In my mind, very briefly, I thought, well, maybe she is, she's these mental illness issues have taken over. And then, of course, I knew then that to me it was a demon, but that's my belief. But when she's with Summer, she's controlled. And remember, Lori hadn't spoken to anyone when she talked to Summer. So this call was before Lori talked to Kobe, which makes sense because in her phone call to Kobe, she says, no one understands her, something like my mother doesn't, Summer doesn't, and all this. So it's my opinion that there is a phone call out there with Janice too. That's what I think. Maybe it'll get played. We're waiting on a refresh, y'all. Audrey Jensen, excellent point. Anybody wants to say Lori was out of her mind, Lori was whatever Lori was, she sure as hell knew how to damn manage 18 phones. Melanie Pulaski, she can't go around telling everybody, oh, I don't know what I believe, I listen to so much, when she has a whole binder full of her and Brandon's credit cards. These people are not, they're actually really good at playing the victim when they need to. And of course, the reason I have discussed this before, when Lori was deemed incompetent, and incompetence in the state of Idaho isn't about, just being out of your mind or something. It's about, they believe she didn't know the charges against her, and that she didn't know how to assist in her defense. And that's what kept her in a dang Idaho Department of Health and Welfare facility for 10 months. Folks, this woman malingered because she sure as hell knew. She could plan all this stuff, get on airplanes, manage all these burner phones, lie to all these people, keep up with her lies. Mark Means worked it out for Lori, don't y'all know? We now have another exhibit that Rob Wood wants to enter into evidence. More photos from the crime scene. Thomas objects based on previous reasons. And Boyce overrules and lets the pictures in. That's 3 times, y'all. This isn't me repeating the same thing. I'm looking at it. This one was just posted, what, 22 seconds ago, while I was blabbing my mouth. Huh. I don't think them jurors are going to need to look at those photos again, be honest with you. I mean, they'll be there if they want to look at them again during deliberations. But I mean, I'm going to make a guess here. What they've seen when they saw the graphic photos of the children's bodies last week, and then what they're seeing today of the burial sites, I think it's going to stick in their mind for a long time. Just as Crescia K. Easton, a difficult research, says, some things you just can't unsee. And I'm just going to let y'all in on this just for, I guess just an FYI. If something like this happened to me and it was one of my children, I wouldn't. I know for a fact I wouldn't look at those pictures. I would want to remember them in good times. I wouldn't want to. But that's just me. I guess this goes along the lines of, open caskets, as in terms of that, or closed casket. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll share this with you. This is a very personal matter for me, but I'm going to have a closed casket. I don't want people to see me like that. I want them to remember me when I was alive, and just anything good I'd ever done, and just that's what I would want. And K-Tech, I can respect that. K-Tech says I don't have sympathy for Summer, and I get that. There are some rays on here that believe exactly the way you do, K-Tech, and I get it. Again, let me just make it clear. Y'all know how I've talked about the Cox family and Summer, and I know exactly what y'all are speaking of when she talks about she'd take Charles Vallow out herself, or, I believed in your mission, Lori, and all this, and all these things that were suspect about Summer. Those things I don't see in a different light. But I do see Summer as, I know Summer loved JJ and Tylee. And she loved her sister too. Now, Rob Wood asked Daniels to contrast the difference between JJ and Tylee's burial sites. He says there was a big difference. JJ's remains were all intact, wrapped in plastic bags, and very coordinated with rocks and wooden planks. Tylee's burial site was just a mass of organic material that fell apart when the team went to uncover it. Such a big contrast for us as a team, going from JJ's, how precise everything was placed, versus Tylee's melted, charred mass, how that was placed in that burial. Wood has no further questions for Daniels. John Thomas will cross-examine him now. So we're waiting on John Thomas, who's going to be cross-examining this FBI Steve Daniels, okay, over these burial sites. Hopefully this won't last too long. I don't think a defense attorney wants to really delve into this. He's already said he don't want the pictures, which the judge is going to allow. But perhaps he might. I mean, I don't know. From day to day, I can't tell you one way or the other about how this defense team is going at this. I still haven't figured out even a theory other than to say that They have hit on this about Lori changing when she got with Chad. But maybe the jurors are smart enough to understand that Lori was already believing all this multiple probation stuff before even meeting Chad. Maybe they'll see the prior bad acts through the admission of evidence through 404B of Charles Vallow's situation. And we've had a few comment on here before even Charles Vallow was murdered. Look at the situation with Lori and Alex as it relates to Joseph Ryan. Many believe that Joseph Ryan's death was suspicious. They closed the case on it. It's very disappointing about that. The bottom line is, if you put that aside and look at the way that Lori and Alex operated together, about Lori basically doing all the lying and psyching Alex up to go and basically attack Joseph Ryan with a stun gun. And then you've got other people out here in the world that said Lori and Alex was talking about their original plan was to stun him and put him in the trunk of the car and go kill his ass. The bottom line is it shows quite clearly, whether you believe they tried to kill him or not, Alex did, at Lori's behest, do what he did, assault, whatever you want, aggravated assault. He spent more than a couple of days in jail. And in fact, there are letters, and there's an interview online somewhere from a friend of his during the comedy time where he is sending her things saying, get his license plate number and his address and send me a picture of him. There are guys in this jail that I'm in right now that would like to know, i.e. Trying to set up another hit on Joseph Ryan. These jurors have got to see these prior bad acts and know that it wasn't about Chad coming into Lori's life, and that's why the bad acts happened. She was already doing the bad acts. Now, John Thomas asked Daniels about his experience and him being to 5 to 7 barrels over the years. Daniels has always been in the Salt Lake City division, which covers Utah, Idaho, and Montana. John Thomas asked Daniels about his first uncover of a burial. Daniels says he would have to look it up. Thomas asked for clarification on the 5 to 7 burials, and Daniels says some were individual burials, others had more than one burial. So this looks as kind of like a repeat of yesterday when that cast unit guy came on the stand and John Thomas was like, explain it to me. Do you really? I mean, how much training do you have? So I'm thinking this is their ride again. They're going to make it out to be like this FBI agent Daniels really doesn't have as much experience about this as he should, or something to that effect. Now, Daniels believes he has processed another burial scene in Idaho on the Fort Hall Reservation. Daniels says he probably shouldn't talk about specific cases, and Thomas says it goes to his credibility. Daniels responds that he's been on a case in Missoula and other cases involving human remains in fire pits. And Daniels is correct if, in fact, any of this other stuff is still an open investigation. He's not really allowed to talk about it. So I don't know how that's going to get worked out. Legally Blonde, yes, but we want to know the specifics. We want to see evil for what it is, so that we know what it looks like. If it's ever demonstrated in people's behaviors again. I think that's why people are fascinated with it. I don't think it's a sick fascination. I think a lot of people look at these cases, and the reason they follow them is because they want to know what human beings are capable of. They want to hear what their behaviors were because you cannot know something that's not demonstrated to you. And I think people want to protect themselves. That's my opinion. At least that's the way I look at it. You know, yesterday when Summer said, even if you didn't kill them, Lori, even if Chad and Alex didn't kill them, who the hell would kill them, Summer? Who would kill them? And if someone else besides Chad, Alex, and Lori killed them, then why is Chad and Lori and Alex covering it up? We know it was Chad, Alex, and Lori that killed them. I'm just trying, I guess I'm being a little facetious about it. Now, John Thomas asks about the grid system that law enforcement teams set up on the property. Thomas asked if the dirt area outside of the fire pit was sifted, and Daniel says he would need to ask his other team members to be sure. Thomas responds, we've had about 3 years to prepare for this. This didn't come up over the past 3 years. And Daniel says he will need to check with his colleagues. It has been 3 years. Is John Thomas saying that every question he asks this Daniels guy that Daniels has to know all the answers? I guess that's the question, isn't it? Okie dokie says, Thomas is acting like he knows what he's talking about. Just doing his job, I guess. And you're right, okie dokie. Lori deserves a robust defense. Lori does deserve a fair trial. That's what Kay and Larry, Cresha, and all the victims' family members want here. They want a fair trial. John Thomas asked Daniels if he has met with other senior team leaders in other parts of the country to discuss this case. He says no, but in preparation for the search warrant, Daniels did talk with the evidence response team in Virginia. Thomas has no further questions for Daniels, and Wood is done with his questions too. So FBI agent Steve Daniels, y'all, is leaving the witness stand. We're going to get another witness here. Don't know who it's going to be. Hi, Katie Carlson. All right. Somebody called it, I think. The next witness up is Dr. Garth Warren. I'm assuming, y'all, that this is the coroner. So we're in for this. We're going to find out if this is who I think it is, y'all. We could get the cause of death on JJ and Tylee, or at least JJ. Remember, Rob Wood told Summer Shiflett before this case even really got into swinging, said that they may never find out the cause of death of Tylee Ryan. Yes, Lisa Fisher. I think you're correct. Y'all, we're fixing to find out some stuff. Mom on the case says, my stomach just turned. Okie dokie says, brace yourself. Somebody says, God help us. And I forgot who it was, just said, let's pay attention. This is going to be rough, says Sharon. Norma Guerrera says, hold on. Group hug, says Birdie. So Harley 62, Pam Keith, we need to brace ourselves. Yes, Strawberry Bash. We don't want to hear it, just as we didn't want to hear about the pictures of JJ and Tylee, along with the burial sites. Okay, y'all. Dr. Garth Warren is dressed in a dark suit with a gray shirt and tie. Rob Wood will question Warren, who is a forensic pathologist. A forensic pathologist is a medical doctor who tries to determine how people die, y'all. We're fixing to get this, okay? Let's all just do the best we can to get through this. I'll do my best to keep my mouth shut. I'm going to let my cat in the door real quick. Hold on. Come on if you're coming. Come on. They scratch on the door, and then they will not stop scratching on the door until I let them in. And if you hear any crunch and munch, it's my cats over here in the cat feeder. Oh, Lord. No, Voodoo Girl, that's Chi-Chi. And then Boogie just walked in behind, but then he just walked right back out, and I've left the door open because I'm not going to sit here and play musical chairs with them, so to speak. You know, Barbara Porter, Nate Eaton didn't say whether Summer's still in the courtroom. Okay, y'all. This Dr. Warren has been licensed to practice in Idaho for 6 years. He practiced in Colorado for 5 years. He attended the University of Health Sciences Center in Portland, Oregon, and He did a general pathology residency with a 2-year fellowship in neuropathology. He also did a 1-year fellowship in forensic pathology. Dr. Warren works for the Ada County coroner. Yeah, see, I am. But we're gonna be enlightened. We're gonna know. We're gonna know. Hopefully. Again, I don't hold out hope that he's gonna know how Tylee died. But I just have faith in my heart, y'all, deep in my gut. I've said this for so long, I really believe they're going to tell us how JJ died. And we already got a clue on how Tammy died. The Betty Boop says, prison's waiting for you, Lori. Michelle L. says, someone said the Woodcocks were not there. John Shepard, I don't know how they could tell the cause of death on Tylee. And isn't that exactly what they wanted? They didn't want anyone to know. Beverly's saying, take a deep breath, y'all. Janelle Murphy says, truth is coming to light, y'all. The Ada County Coroner's Office has a contract with Madison and Fremont counties to conduct autopsies. Dr. Warren performs 200 to 250 autopsies a year. He believes he's conducted 1,200 to 1,500 cases in Idaho. That's right, John Shepard. They did. They buried JJ intact. As we have just read, well, I've just read here, this Dr. Warren, obviously, y'all, he's performed many autopsies. To me, he looks very reputable. His credentials and everything else. The jurors are sitting on the edge of their seats in this testimony, y'all. You know they have to be. They want to know from this guy how these children and Tammy died. That establishes what, y'all? Homicide, murder, which is one of the little things jurors have to check. Was this a murder? Obviously, they can look and see, yes, common sense, but they've got to have that confirmed through testimony. That's right. That's right. That will be a question, whether they suffered, y'all. Because that goes to the malice of forethought. That goes to the most evil, diabolical mindset of these people. Hello, Nita Smith. Hello, Carrie Ann. They're fixing to go over the cause of death with this Dr. Warren. Now, Rob Wood asked Dr. Warren what pathology involves. Dr. Warren says it's the study of disease and explains what some of his job involves. We've been waiting on this, y'all. Me too, Mr. M. I want to remember Tylee and JJ in those little videos and their pictures of them smiling and laughing and singing, being with their friends. I keep that in my mind. Yes, you're right, Olive. Cause of death and manner of death determines all. Now, Dr. Warren is a member of the American Board of Pathology and serves on other boards. He details the test he had to pass in order to practice pathology. Deborah, nobody knows if the children were given drugs before they were murdered. Maybe some light will be shed on this. Again, y'all, it's going to be nearly impossible to find out what Tylee's cause of death was. Obviously, just from the concealment itself shows, to me, homicide, you know. JJ was more well preserved. Also, they say Tammy was asphyxiated. They don't say Tammy was asphyxiated and poisoned. But many of the Rays and I had thought that perhaps he incapacitated her and then asphyxiated her with some type of poison. That maybe the poisoning started days before, if in fact it is true that the kids saw their mother getting sicker and sicker, which I don't know that I believe that. But if she did get sicker and sicker and she had a cough and all that stuff before her death, I don't think that was some natural causes. I think that was some kind of something Chad and them were giving her. I still got some left. I've got some Kit Kat left, y'all. Rays, a question has been asked, did the kids ever go out to Chad's before they were murdered? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Chad came to Lori's apartment complex, i.e. the weekend that JJ was murdered. I'm not really sure when Chad saw Tylee, if he ever did. Somebody please put that in the comments if you have empirical, factual proof of that. Now, Dr. Warren says cases that fall under the medical examiner coroner's office are typically not natural deaths. Tests are done to come up with a cause and manner of death. This Dr. Warren says, that's my ultimate job, to determine the cause and manner of death. The cause of death is what causes you to die. Heart attack, car crash, gunshot wound, etc. Manner of death deals more with the circumstances surrounding the death, and there are typically 5 options. Now listen up, you can learn something here. Manner of death can be natural, it can be an accident, it can be suicide, it can be homicide, and it can be undetermined. Let me repeat that. Cause of death is when you die of a heart attack, car crash, gunshot wound, etc. But the manner of death deals with this, like the environment around it, the more circumstances surrounding the death, and there are 5 options. Natural, accident, suicide, homicide, and undetermined. Now, Rob Wood asked Dr. Warren, what is an unattended death? What is that? And Dr. Warren says the death is unattended by a clinician. If somebody dies in the hospital, that's an attended death, not an unattended death. Someone who dies outside of the hospital without a doctor is called an unattended death. Dr. Warren says typically the body is received in a body bag. The bag is typically sealed. He opens the body bag and observes the scene as it is, what they were wearing, any evidence of medical intervention, etc. The clothes are then removed and evidence is gathered if needed. A head-to-toe exam is performed. Hair, eye color, ears, fingernails are all described. Warren looks for anything that could determine the cause of death. And we have some Rays on here, I know for sure, that are really into this aspect, forensic-wise and pathology-wise. Me, on the other hand, I'm more of the one, I do like to be educated about this stuff. But I guess OKJ's like the bottom line. What would you find, you know? But some people really get into this. Some of the Rays have been in the medical field in the past, or still are in the medical field. I do recall many comments in the past where people are like, I would really like to learn more about forensics and things of that sort. Yes, Margaret Gibson. Jurors can also use their common sense. Grammy B says, I'm a bottom line type too. Okay, so Dr. Warren then cuts into the body, y'all, and collects urine, blood, eye fluid, and other things are collected from the body. Organs are inspected and weighed. Dr. Warren says he has conducted autopsies on over 200 bodies. And folks, I know this is a necessary thing, but could you imagine having to do something like that for a living? OKJ couldn't do it. I don't give a damn how much training I had. I don't give a damn how much money I'd make. I couldn't do it, y'all. And, unless I died of a homicide, I've told Wayne, don't make them give me an autopsy. No, I won't take one. I don't want one. I don't want them doing that to me. Yes, you're right, Goodwill Squatter. There are people that are they're really good at this. And it has done so much, not only in the medical profession, in the science and the forensics and all that, but they have solved many, many terrible, terrible crimes. So just because old KJ wouldn't do it, don't mean I think it's very important. Dr. Warren conducted the autopsy on J.J. Vallow on June 11th of 2020 at the Ada County Morgue. Y'all, my heart rate's going up right now. The autopsy took about 4 hours. Warren says J.J. died of asphyxia by a plastic bag over his head and duct tape over his mouth. Bound with duct tape, bruising on the arms, and abrasions to the neck, y'all. Forensic pathologist says J.J. Vallow died due to asphyxia by a plastic bag over his head and duct tape over his mouth. They bound him with his hands and ankles, y'all. And then they dang suffocated him. He had to go through that, y'all. Give me a minute. That damn son of a bitch and that damn whore and that damn Alex, that son of a bitch. That does not happen immediately, y'all. Fix Tex, I'm telling you, that little boy didn't deserve this. They could just, give him something and let him fall asleep if they're going to murder him. They got to make him suffer. Oh, boy, he's sitting there right now listening to this. Dr. Warren says they received JJ's body in a body bag. He opened it up, and it was wrapped in plastic. And Dr. Warren says, right from the beginning, there was some things that obviously jumped out. There was a white plastic bag over JJ's head wrapped around his face multiple times with duct tape, all the way down to the neck. The forearms and the hands were bound with duct tape, and the ankles were found with duct tape. JJ was wearing a red pajama top, red pajama bottoms, and black socks. Another thing that was quite obvious is the body was in a sense of decomposition. There was dirt and mold on the tops and the bottoms. You could tell, even with the clothing on, that the body was in a state of decomposition by the color of the skin. But Lori, y'all, Lori has to go on with her life, don't you know? She's got to go on with her damn life. The clothes were removed and submitted to law enforcement. A single cut was made on the duct tape and given to law enforcement. The plastic bag was given to the law enforcement. All the fingernails were cut and given to law enforcement. And when it has Chad Daybell's DNA under his fingernails, I hope that Chad Daybell burns in hell. Oral, anal, and penile swabs were conducted in case there was a sexual crime involved. A portion of the rib, bone, hair, and 2 molars were taken out of JJ's mouth for DNA purposes. And let's just keep in mind, y'all, that Lori is sitting right there in the courtroom. JJ's body was in a state of decomposition. Dr. Warren describes the graphic details of the state of JJ's body. Warren found a scratch-like abrasion on the left side of JJ's neck. You're right, Bryn Marshall. You're right. Goodwill Squatter said, sweet angel. Yes, JJ is a sweet angel, but Lori and Chad and Alex did this to that little boy. They made JJ out to be like he had something evil in him, and JJ was innocent and beautiful and precious, along with Tylee. She likes diamonds. JJ fought for his life. I believe that. I absolutely believe it. I believe Tylee fought for her life too. There was also bruises on the left arm and a hemorrhage on the right thumbnail. Dr. Warren says there were also other areas that were concerning or suspicious. Bruising on the ankles that may have been associated with the duct tape. Many members of the jury are taking detailed notes as Dr. Warren speaks. Lori is taking notes and looking up at the witness. And wonder what Lori's notes are all about, huh? Is she trying to figure out how she's gonna damn lie her way out of this? Right, most. What could she be writing notes about? This is the same woman who was talking on a jail phone call with her sister Summer, saying, "I loved my children so much." Yeah, yeah. Enough to murder them and do that and make your son and daughter suffer like that? Strawberry Maze thinks that Lori's just trying to look busy or to distract herself. Well, I'll tell you what, y'all. My prayer, this is my prayer, that she is hearing what this Dr. Warren is saying, and that it never, absolutely never leaves her mind. Ever. There are no signs of disease. So, y'all, that proves that JJ was healthy, strong. He'd probably lived a really long life. Went on to be a beautiful young man. Dr. Warren made incisions on the heart and lungs. All the organs were still there and well defined, Warren says. All the organs showed decomposition changes, but I did not see any trauma to the internal organs or evidence of overt natural disease to any of the organs. JJ and Tylee both. I mean, yes, Tylee had pancreatitis, but what we're talking about, everyone in their life has something that goes on with them. But JJ here, he didn't have anything. Yes, he was special needs. He had autism. But that's a big spectrum. I will share this. I've got a sister who's 1 year older than me. Her son is in his 20s. He works a full-time job, and he's autistic. Okay? Dr. Warren did not observe any rib fractures. He did not see anything unusual in the lungs. This is sucking the life right out of me, y'all, but it really doesn't matter how I feel. All I'm thinking about are the victims' family members right now. I'm thinking about what these victims went through. We're waiting on a refresh, y'all. And I just really don't know what to say to any of this. I guess if I started saying stuff, I'd probably start really getting loud and obnoxious and probably using too much colorful language, so I'm not going to do it. Not in a moment like this, although I guess I've already done that. It's devastating. I just can't say those things out loud, John Shepherd. I just can't, but you're probably right. I just can't do it. All it'll do is make me cry to say it. I think we all can kind of get an idea of how that must have been. I mean, like I've said before, you know, there's not a humane way to murder somebody. That's like an oxymoron. But it just, what they did to him, this goes back to all that bullshit about fire and bindings. They had to see their damn stupid ass role playing through. If they were going to believe or want to believe, as Melanie Gibbs says, then they got to do some serious shit to prove it. And they did. The only thing they managed to prove about any of their belief system is that their asses are going to freaking prison. Lori and Chad and these other cult members, I hope they're listening to this because they could have stopped it. There was no blood or urine due to the state of decomposition, so a sample of JJ's liver was sent to the toxicologist. Full body x-rays were also performed, but they did not show any overt fractures or abnormalities. So we could say, y'all, that because there was no fractures or abnormalities, that at least we know that he wasn't beat to death or showed signs of physical child abuse. Although, I mean, how much worse does it get using duct tape and garbage bags? The toxicology report shows low levels of ethanol, which is alcohol, a drug called GHB, gamma hydroxybutyric acid, caffeine, and theobromine that can be found in cocoa and tea. Somebody tell me, hey, Grace, get over there on the dang search engine. What is GHB? He ain't telling me. GHB. Put it in the search engine and put it in the comments. I want to know. What is GHB, y'all? I don't know what it is. I want to know. I ain't got time to look it up. GHB was in his system, y'all. It's an anesthesia. It's an anesthetic. It's a roofie. It's a sedative. It's ecstasy. Oh my God. Are y'all kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? They give him this damn GHB to calm his ass down so they can damn bind him up with duct tape and garbage bags? Is that their way of trying to make this humane? Oh my God. Y'all are kidding me. Rob Wood asked Dr. Warren to characterize the amounts of GHB found in JJ Vallow. He says it's inconclusive. GHB can be found in tissues including livers post-mortem, and there's really no way for me to tell for sure whether this is just a naturally occurring product in the body that was there or if JJ was given GHB. I can't say one way or another based on the levels. Oh my God. Y'all, I don't think that this would have been just naturally occurring. Time for a mid-morning break back in 15-20 minutes. Okay, y'all, I need to know what's going on here. GHB. They gave it to him, says Renee. I believe they had to have. Alex was going down to Mexico all the time, y'all. Yeah, it can't be prescribed though, because remember they did a search for JJ's prescriptions in Idaho, Hawaii, Arizona, and Montana. Beach Lady says GHB is to knock people out for date rape. There's no reason why that boy should have had it in his system. Causes loss of consciousness. To make JJ sleepy. Karen L. says Alex must have obtained it illegally. It's a street drug, too. It affects the nervous system, says Vintage Mama. Yes. Bullseye says this case can't get any worse, y'all. They're taking a 15-20 minute break. I've got to look this up very quickly, y'all. I appreciate all y'all jumping on that for me, but I've got to get to it. Gamma hydrobutyrate, or GHB, is an illegal drug that is sometimes used as a party drug in the dancing club scene. It produces feelings of euphoria, relaxation, and sociability, and an increased urge for sex. GHB acts as a nervous system depressant and poses a risk for dependence. The street name for GHB is Georgia Homeboy, G, Goop, Grievous Bodily Harm, and Liquid Ecstasy. GHB is a depressant that affects the central nervous system and causes drowsiness and reduces heart rate. It is used to treat sleep disorders, but can be dangerous if misused. An example of a serial killer, Stephen Port. He was a special needs teacher. Port used this GHB, a date rape drug, adding it to drinks given to his victims, raping them and murdering four of them in his flat in Barking. GHB was used in the Smiley Face murders. I can't believe I cannot believe this, y'all. I cannot believe this. GHB and its analogs are misused for their euphoric and calming effects, and because some people believe they build muscles and cause weight loss, GHB and its analogs are also misused for their ability to increase libido, suggestibility, passivity, and to cause amnesia. It causes drowsiness, decreased anxiety, and memory impairment. It takes effect in less than between 15 and 30 minutes, and the effects last around 3 to 6 hours. Low doses of GHB produce nausea. At high doses, unconsciousness, seizures, slowed heart rate, slow breathing, lower body temperature, vomiting, nausea, coma, and death. But then, y'all, the bottom line is this fella, this doctor here says it was asphyxia. Amy in Boston says that explains Alex carrying him in that night. Well, I'll tell you, some people believe that. I don't believe that whole story of Alex bringing him in that night. I believe Melanie Gibb and David Warwick made all that shit up. The whole night. The nightmare, every bit of it. I believe it was all made up. That's just me. Doris Jones says that's why JJ was asleep on Alex's shoulder. I still, again, I believe that, Chad, there's a possibility Chad took JJ upstairs. JJ started scratching him and everything, and they gave him that. And then they gave it to him. It slowed him down. It made him unconscious. And then they did the rest with ease. They did the duct tape and garbage bags with ease and allowed the trash bags to finish him off. Because the doctor says it was asphyxia. Not because of a GHB overdose. So they incapacitated JJ. This is my theory. They incapacitated him with this GHB. Then they did can anyone see what they did? Not see it, but understand that JJ was duct taped from elbow to elbow, jawline to jawline. He was bound by his wrists and his ankles. And JJ fighting for his life, or could you see him doing that after they made him unconscious? And then what do they do then? They just stick the bag over his head and let him go out. And yes, squeaky wheel, I get that. This could have been some naturally occurring GHB in his system. But from everything that we've seen so far, is it a stretch, really? Is it a stretch? You're either going to have to believe they incapacitated him with GHB so that they could do all this to him to asphyxiate him, which is his cause of death, or you got to believe the GHB was naturally occurring and he struggled and fought the whole time they were duct taping him and putting the trash bag and stuff over his head. One or the other. Carrie Richards says it was something from Mexico. Denise Datilio says tortured. Amika says, of course he was drugged. Drugged, bound, and suffocated, says Beach Lady. One or the other. Yeah, Lisa Fisher, I was thinking that too. I don't know much about these street drugs or anything like that, but when y'all started talking about that and then I read that, they use them, to get people to where they're horny, basically. I guess Lori and Chad wanted to feel the goddess and God extra sexual arousal, huh? When they're bumping and grinding and doing all that crap. Roxy, it's naturally occurring. I can't answer that. You'd have to probably do some research, or maybe someone on here can answer that question for you. And I would like to believe that he was unaware of the duct tape and the trash bags. I would like to believe that. But when I think about the evil, diabolical nature of these people, I can't help but think about that. Yeah, Janelle Murphy, someone said that. We know Alex liked to go down to Mexico and be with the senoritas like his dad Barry used to do. I think he wanted to marry one of those women down there in Mexico before meeting Zulema. And by the way, y'all, How about this? Try this on for size. If this is in fact some GHB or whatever they call these little, whatever, whether it's a liquid or a pill or whatever, doesn't that explain Zulema? When they're in Las Vegas getting married and he's slapping the damn baby oil on her and putting the tarp down on the bed, and she says, I think he was trying to kill me, telling the police. I was in and out of it, and the one thing I could remember was he was in the bathroom talking to somebody. She was probably on that stuff. They were probably doing it to it. These people are sick. Sick. And I don't think Alex was trying to kill Zulema. I think Zulema was telling the police this in her interview to kind of make it look like she was on their side, the police's side. That's what I think. I think she was doing it. Hell, the woman's already had a damn drug conviction in years past, back in the 90s. You think that's that woman's first, Zuzu's first rodeo? I don't think so. They do. They disgust me too, Amika Cream. That's right, Olive Heatley. These people are sick. Sick, sick, sick. And I want y'all to know that the Rays and I have been dealing with this for 2 years, and we didn't know how JJ died. We didn't know. We had our theories. When you think about the duct tape over from jawline to jawline over his mouth, the garbage bags, it was brought up that he suffocated. So it wasn't no big shock, but when you've got a professional who's done all these autopsies come out and say this, it's a gut punch. It's a damn gut punch. Mom's genes, it is sickening. It is. Laney, Alex was predispositioned on this. He was a kinky, pedophilish type of. I mean, they were talking about him and Lori. He used to lift Lori up, and they acted like they were having sex in front of people. It's disgusting. You think so, Ryan Freeborn? You think Lori would be the kind of person that would be into GHB? Well, maybe that explains all the times that I've said, whenever I've seen pictures of Lori and Chad, whether it was at their wedding or whether they were walking over there on the sidewalk in Hawaii or anything like that, or hopping from island to island, and the media was trying to get at them, they looked like they'd smoked the hell out of some shit. Like they'd been smoking on some dubage. And how high they looked. Maybe they were taking this stuff to help enhance this bullcrap belief system to make it be like, we're the king and queen. We're the goddess. I'm the goddess. I am the warrior beyond the millennia. I'm telling y'all, things are starting to fall into place. Yeah, Qatar, when you say GHB is naturally occurring, that would have also been another excuse. That it would have been all right for them to take that GHB because it's natural. It's all natural. And it just helps. I'm in this body of mine. And, I lived 5 other lives at this time. And now this GHB just kind of helps enhance things a little bit. Give me a break. Yeah, Mariah Sestola. Makes sense, don't it? Increase the vibrations. April Metford says it's a roofie. I guess that's the name of it, street name for it. The party drug, says April Metford. Well, how about this, y'all? That medical examiner, this Dr. Warren, he says it could have been one or the other. Well, I'll tell you what, in my theory and in my hypothesis, they gave this to JJ so that they could control him, so they could suffocate him. That's my opinion. And all this other stuff that we're talking about, that perhaps they were using it, makes all the sense in the world to me. Would it be better? Would it be better for old KJ to believe that this was naturally occurring in JJ's body and that he didn't have any kind of unconsciousness or calmness about him as they were doing this to him? Well, I'll just say this. I would rather think that JJ was unconscious from them drugging him. And that's what a lot of Rays thought anyway. We just didn't know what they were drugging him with. That's what I'm going to. That's in my theory and my hypothesis. I can live with that. I can live with knowing these cult members drugged him and then did this. I can live with that more than I can think that this was naturally occurring and that he struggled and they did that to him. Kate Parker, I don't know if it was ecstasy. I just know that it was a date rape drug, GHB or whatever it's called, and some people's calling it a roofie, and a dance. They take them in dance clubs to enhance things. They take them so that people will get more horny, more sexualized. I mean, I've always respected the Rays on here and their theories and their hypotheses. I've always done it. We haven't always agreed with each other's theories. We've always studied all of this to get justice through understanding, and that means whatever it means to any of us. I refuse to believe that this was naturally occurring. I think that JJ was drugged. And if JJ was drugged, and I'm right, then I have to believe that maybe they did the same for Tylee, because you and I both know Tylee would have stomped her mother and Alex's ass, or at least put up one hell of a fight. So, but this goes back again then to if it was GHB, and we know Alex was a freaking pervert, and Lori allowed it. They gave Tylee this. Perhaps. I'm not trying to think the worst. What I'm doing is thinking about Zulima's testimony about how Chad told her. He could have told her anything he wanted about her past life. But he tells her past life. She was 14 years old when she was raped and murdered and dismembered. Many Rays before said, why was Tylee done the way she was done? Perhaps to hide evidence of DNA from a rape? I wouldn't put it past any of these nasty, evil people. It could have been Tennessee Girl 79. They had these code words anyway. And maybe Alex knew exactly what Lori meant when she said, I need to have some eggs. And she's texting him in his apartment to bring her some eggs when his damn apartment ain't even furnished. And when they do the search warrant on the apartment that Lori's staying in, that's actually technically in Alex's name, there's food all in there that's been left behind. People say the eggs means Valium. Maybe it meant GHB. Who knows? GHB is not ecstasy, says Laney. Right, dodging bullets. That's another thing. I didn't want to say that out loud, but you're thinking along the same lines as what I'm thinking. Kathleen Curtis, codes and burner phones. Just looking, that's what it's what it's looking like. Because if you think about everything that Chad was telling Zulema and about being raped and murdered and dismembered, and then you add on top of that this stuff about to get the demon out, you got to burn them, you got to bind them, and all this and that. It was all around the same time that they were talking about this stuff. Yes, beautiful day. Let's keep that in mind. Prayers for Larry, Kay, and Crusha. It's devastating, y'all. It's absolutely devastating. Just give me a minute, y'all. Sitting here looking at... Has anyone ever heard of this GHB in this case? This is the first time we've heard it, y'all. Bullseye wants to know if both the Melanies were taking it too. Let me tell you what, anything to enhance the experience, don't you know? These people are absolutely hypocrites, evil people. Caffeine that can be found in cocoa and tea was there too. We know in Lori's apartment there was a French press there. Y'all, it's terrible. No, there isn't any valid reason why. And I'm curious to know how the defense is going to cover this. And I hope, again, that Lori heard every bit of this. I hope she heard every bit of this. You think it's a stretch for the jurors? They got to make up their mind whether this was naturally occurring substances in his body or whether this was a drug that was given to him after everything they've seen that's happened to these children. I don't know about y'all, but it is a healthy inference, in my view, that they drugged JJ. And I believe if they in fact did drug JJ, they did the same thing to Tylee. They just did them differently. So it's been 24 minutes since they said they'd be back in 15 or 20 minutes. It is currently 10:38 a.m. in Boise, and they usually go till lunch. It's devastating, y'all. Yes, and they say there's a lot of caffeine in tea as opposed to coffee, too. You know, CSI crowdsourced, a lot of y'all are saying that on there. That would make sense with Alex bringing him in on his shoulder. Again, that's something people will have to work out on their own. I don't believe any of that shit ever happened. I don't believe none of that story. I think that was the story they came up with to explain a lot of things from Melanie Gibb and David Warwick. But that's just okay, Jay. I've got my own theories about this. Hey, Paisley Dreams. Terrible, terrible stuff come out this morning. JJ's cause of death was asphyxia because of the garbage bags. They found GHB in his system, and the medical examiner couldn't say whether it was naturally occurring or whether he was drugged. And you know, y'all know how I'm going to be. I believe he was drugged to calm him down so they could do all that to him, because he would have fought. It's disgusting. Dame Von Daisy, you know what? At this point, maybe it's because we've watched too many crazy-ass things on TV, but I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him this and he was unconscious or whatever, and they all got in a circle. Wouldn't surprise me one damn bit. Dodging Bullets says, why isn't Lori jumping up and saying, oh my gosh, look what they did to my kid? Yeah, right. Well, don't you know, Dodging Bullets, she didn't care what they did to her kids. She's too busy ordering wedding dresses and malachite rings and going to Hobby Lobby and Cafe Rio and jumping island to island and jumping around like a freaking idiot on a beach in Hawaii. She has to move on with her life, don't you know? Makes no difference. I mean, this woman believes that, what was it? My kids, show Kobe, my kids know what happened. My kids love me, they understand. In her mind, Kobe, I don't know if she feels that way now, but she's probably thinking, in order to deal with it, my kids know. I'm going to see them again. They understand I had to do that to them. You know? Y'all, it's sick. It's sick. Excuse me for 1 minute, y'all. I'll be right back. Just when you think that you cannot see any more evil in any of this, more evil rears its head. It's never ending, y'all. All right. Nate Eaton wants everyone to know by posting what is GHB. It's another name for a generic drug, sodium oxybate. This is a trade name of the Food and Drug Administration that it gives it approved prescription medication. Extreme is approved as a treatment to improve daytime sleepiness, muscle weakness, narcolepsy, a disorder marked by sudden, unexplained, spontaneous fatigue, napping, or falling asleep throughout the day. Analogs that are often substitutes for GHB include GBL and 1,4-BD, which is 1,4-butanediol. These analogs are available legally as industrial solvents used to produce polyurethane, pesticides, elastic fibers, pharmaceuticals, coatings, or metal or plastic, and other products. They're also sold illicitly as supplements for bodybuilding, fat loss, reversal of baldness, improved eyesight, and to combat aging, depression, drug addiction, and insomnia. GBL and BD are sold as fish tank cleaner, ink stain remover, ink cartridge cleaner, and nail enamel remover for approximately $100 a bottle, much more expensive than comparable products. Attempts to identify the abuse of GHB analogs are hampered by the fact that routine toxicological screens do not detect the presence of these analogs. GHB is produced illegally in both domestic and foreign clandestine laboratories. The major source of GHB on the street is through clandestine synthesis by local operators. At bars or rave parties, GHB is typically sold in liquid form by the capful or swig for $5 to $25 a cap. Common street names is Easy Lay, G, Georgia Homeboy, GHB, Goop, Grievous Bodily Harm, Liquid Ecstasy, Liquid X, and Scoop. What does it look like? GHB is usually sold as a liquid or as a white powder that is dissolved in a liquid such as water, juice, or alcohol. GHB dissolved in liquid has been packaged in small vials or small water bottles. In liquid form, GHB is clear, colorless, and slightly salty in taste. GHB is misused for their euphoric and calming effects and because some people believe they build muscle and cause weight loss. GHB takes effect in 15 to 30 minutes and the effects last 3 to 6 hours. Low doses of GHB produce nausea. At high doses, GHB overdose can result in unconsciousness, seizures, slow heart rate, greatly slowed breathing, lower body temperature, vomiting, nausea, coma, and death. So that was from Nate Eaton, y'all. Pretty much what we thought. Well, Treva Levesque, y'all do recall, don't y'all, that Lori was crushing up pills in Charles Vallow's shake or water, or however you want to say it. I'm not saying it was GHB. They said it was some of JJ's Risperdal or JJ's medication. Well, if they're going to do it back then, why not do it now, huh? Larry and Kay Woodcock are not in the courtroom this morning. They were aware what would be discussed today. Judge Boyce is back on the bench, but court staff are working out some audio issues. Dr. Warren is back on the stand. And Rob Wood continues to question. Wood asked to admit photos of the autopsy. Well, Olive Heatley, when you say GHB is in meditation is a sedative, I wonder what these energy workers use. It's sick. It's pathetic. That's right, Trace on the case. Lori told April Raymond she's through with JJ. Not only that, beginning of January 2019, she's all damn upset because she saw that Charles and JJ were going to die in a car accident and they didn't die. Lori didn't love JJ. Lori didn't love Tylee. I don't care what anybody says. She didn't love them. She loves herself. That's what she loves. She used them, that's right. She wanted their money, didn't she? Or she wanted to make herself out to be the mom of the year. Yeah, give me a break. You know, you can take care of your kids your whole life and do the right by them and do everything that everybody said Lori did. But when you murder them, does all them years of being good with your kids and everything and doing everything for them and all that really matter when you've murdered your children? It don't matter. I mean, that's my opinion. The beach lady says Lori said she'd done her job as a mother. And we know that Lori told April Raymond, you've done your mission or whatever with your children. That part of your life is over, April Raymond. Let your children go with their father and come with us. I'm here to gather you, April Raymond. Oh, they would give April Raymond some of that GHB and they'd have had a great big orgy together. You know it. You damn well know it. It was a facade. Okie dokie. I'm telling you. Somebody needs to beat that woman down. I hope the prison system does a good number on her. I hope some of these women that are going to be spending the rest of their time, or at least lots of time in there with Lori, I hope they know the details, or some of them anyway, of what this woman has done. So we're still waiting. Rob Wood is still asking to admit photos of the autopsy. There are other people in this live stream that are getting live tweets from other channels or other people. We appreciate them doing that. Yeah, Tina Reddington, they should do exactly to Lori. Except they shouldn't give Lori any GHB and knock her unconscious. They need to let her be fully awake. There are around 36 photos taken during the autopsy that Wood asked to admit as evidence. Thomas objects and asks the court to exclude them because they're unnecessarily prejudicial. Wood responds, there are photographs of what actually happened, what actually transpired during the autopsy. There's no better evidence to explain the autopsy process than by these and Dr. Warren's testimony. They are true and they are accurate. Boyce overrules the objection and the photos will be admitted. Can y'all imagine that? John Thomas doesn't want the jury to see the actual autopsy photos because they'll be too prejudicial. Give me a break. Give me a break. But the judge, obviously, he did right by that. John Thomas asked to have the photos shown in black and white. And Wood objects and says that's not the reality. Boyce calls for a sidebar and white noise is played in the courtroom. The defense does not want these photos shown. And the reason that the defense wants them shown in black and white instead of full color is because he does not want these jurors to see reality. That's it. They're going to have to sort that out. Yeah, Goodwill Squatter, great point. John Thomas wants to continue to distort reality just like Lori. Deborah Tutela says the devil's preparing a room for these two. MN says they don't like child killers. Yin Yang says yet again Lori wants to change the reality. That's right, Ms. Mary. These jurors need to see reality. They need to see all of the evidence. the attorneys have left the courtroom with the judge. Lori sits at the defense table with her back toward the spectators. Her side can be observed by jurors who sit directly across from her. Lori is writing in her yellow notebook. Yeah, she can't. I'd love to beat the living hell out of that woman. I'd love to beat the living hell out of her, y'all. Please forgive me. I am the most nonviolent person in the world. And it really concerns me and bothers me that I feel this way. But I'm going to tell you what. If anyone deserves an ass whooping, that woman does. She just needs a good ass whooping. Okay? She needs to know what it physically feels like to hurt. That's what she needs. She needs her freaking lights knocked out. She needs to know what it feels like to have a broken nose or black eyes. Then maybe it will dawn on her. Has anyone ever made her, oh, ouch, you hurt me. That was a physical hurting thing. She doesn't have any conscience. She doesn't have any conscience of what she does to other people, specifically about their feelings. We've heard that. All it was about was her when it came to Kobe and Summer. And I believe Janice did a phone call, I'm hoping anyway, and we'll hear how cold-blooded Lori is to her own mother. Janae Jones says she needed her ass whooped before all this. No discipline. And y'all, I have seen other criminal cases where pre-trial they went over photographs, and I have actually witnessed in those pre-trial proceedings, they'll go through a big stack of these autopsy photos, and the judge will say, well, there's 3 of these that look about the same, so we're only going to put 1 here. And then this one's real gory. We'll do this one in black and white. So I have seen that. So when John Thomas asked for that, that's not unheard of. It just takes the shock and sting out of it if it's super gory. Remember, y'all, if this judge was just to let the state admit whatever they wanted, the defense could, down the road after a conviction, say they admitted too much evidence that was redundant, too graphic, way more graphic than it needed to be. It caused prejudice and blah, blah, blah. So it's my opinion, perhaps they're going into another room to go through all the photos, and the judge is going to take out duplicates of, slight variations of the same thing. And I don't know whether he will say this one needs to be in black and white or not. But the bottom line is it's not unheard of. Again, we all agree, or at least most of us, that they should be able to see all of them. See reality. Yes, Saltina. It is, cannot be unseen by these jurors. It is the truth, Ixtex. I get it. But I hope you understand what I'm trying to say and all that. John Shepard, I hope Lori hates prison. I hope every moment of her rest of her miserable life, the only life, in my opinion. I mean, I've got my own belief systems. There's people out here in the world that believe in reincarnation, multiple probation stuff. That's their own business. What I'm saying, as far as my view is, I get one life on this earth. And in my opinion, Lori gets one life. I don't give a damn what she believes. Okay? She gets one life. And she gets to live it out in prison. Being someone else's bitch. I hope, anyway. Becky C says, I would like 5 minutes alone with Lori. Oh, Lord, y'all. Y'all think I could take Lori? Y'all think I could take her? I mean, I think she's a little taller than me. She's younger than me. She's in better shape than me, I'm sure. Y'all think I could take Lori? Y'all think I could beat the living hell out of that woman? Yeah. Y'all think I could take her? Hey, I'm one of these ones that, I might get my ass stomped, but I'm going to have my licks in. I'm going to make sure I do. Okay. Several jurors stand to stretch their legs, and Lori continues to write in her notebook. Attorneys are walking back into the courtroom. Vicky McNutt, LaDonna Nick, Denise, Bullseye, LaDonna, Mandy Poe. It wouldn't take long. What is that old saying? There'd be 2 hits. Me hitting you and you hitting the floor. Remember that old 80s thing? I'd only be 2 hits. Me hitting you and you hitting the floor. Or how about this? If looks could kill, you'll be lying on the floor. You'll be begging me, please, please, baby, don't hurt me no more. If looks could kill. Oh, Nita. There'll be plenty of women in the freaking prison that will absolutely make her do a double take. There will be women in prison that Lori will actually think, is that a man or a woman? I'm going to tell you what, they've got these dang women in prison that could beat a man senseless. And I hope Lori becomes, I kind of picture it like, Star Wars with Princess Diana, what's her name? Princess Leia. And she's got what is that, a chain, and it's Jabba the Hutt. She's been put in an outfit. Y'all know what I'm talking about. For those that have watched Star Wars with Princess Leia there, she's got her collar and her chain, and Jabba the Hutt's got a hold of her. Y'all know it. Y'all know it. Now, Lori's uncle Rex Connor is back in the courtroom today with his daughters. They, along with 2 victim advocates, are sitting in the prosecution benches. No other family members are in the reserved area. So we did find out Larry and Kay, and I'm assuming Krish is not there either. There's no other family members. Summer's not there. This is just Rex Connor and his 2 daughters and 2 victim advocates. McJett, that's a good question. These are family members of those children. Maybe the victims' advocates are there in case they have to deal with something. I don't know. Honestly, though, let's just get real, y'all. When the kids went missing, did y'all see anybody from the Cox family come out on other than to say everything's fine, Lori would never harm her kids? Did you see any of them going and looking for the kids? Oh, you see Kay and Larry getting on airplane after airplane, doing everything they can, offering a reward. I know, y'all, I shouldn't be so mean-spirited about it, but damn. You didn't see it, did you? Speaks volumes. How about this, y'all? Look, why don't y'all let this sink in? You ready? Lori is chatting with her attorneys. She doesn't seem too concerned as she is smiling and actively engaged in conversation. She's smiling and actively engaged in conversation, knowing that they just got done telling her little boy died of asphyxiation, and also hearing, she didn't have to look, hearing that he was garbage bagged up and duct taped, and she's smiling and engaging in conversation, just chatting away. She needs her ass stomped. Y'all know it. You know it. It is disgusting, dog mom. It's pathetic. No, was she really okie dokie? Lori was eating during the break? No way. Are you kidding me? Well, that would line up then, because Alex Cox spent 2.5 hours chopping up Tylee and helping Chad to him, burning her in Chad's backyard, and then he takes his ass off to Del Taco to eat. He worked up an appetite, don't you know? It's pathetic, y'all. It is so pathetic. Just a normal day for Lori, says Roxy. We are waiting for Judge Boyce to re-enter the courtroom and decide how and if the autopsy photos will be shown. Again, y'all, he's probably making some decisions. Oh, yeah, I need a record deal. You get a line and I get a pole, honey. You get a line and I get a pole, babe. You get a line, I get a pole. We'll go fishing in the crawdad hole, honey, baby, mine. Oh, Lord. It's now out, the new album from KJ and the Ray, with such songs called Beat Lolo Down, and the most masterful classical one, Where Can We Kick Her Ass? It's all out on DVD now, folks. We cannot forget those beautiful, beautiful love songs like Lori and Jacinda, Carpet Munching Down. I'm sorry, y'all. This is how I filter things through when I'm mad, okay? And don't forget, if you get KJ and the Ray's record, you also get a bonus track called Bubba and Chad doing the boo-boo. Bubba. Oh, yeah, Bubba. We know you love Chad. Yeah, Bubba. You bend him over every day. Oh, Bubba. Chatty boy is with his old friend Bubba. Okay, let's get serious, okay? Boyce is back on the bench. He says he has considered the evidence and made a decision that it would be inappropriate for many of the photos to be publicly demonstrated due to their graphic nature. That's a good one, just looking. The song says, Bumpin' Uglies, Bubba. Bubba and Chad are bumping uglies. Right, G.S. Jackson 72. The judge doesn't want the jury to see all the absolute devastation. Boyce is also concerned that the photos on the big screen would blow them up So the images will be shown on the monitors in front of the jurors and at the defense and prosecution tables. So John Thomas didn't get what he wanted, don't you know? He didn't want the jurors to see any of them. Well, the people in the gallery, thank goodness they're not going to have that seared in their mind. It is the reality, Heather Strzok. But this goes back again. I've seen it before, y'all, in other criminal cases. This isn't nothing. Judge Boyce isn't being unfair. The bottom line is, yes, we would like it shown to the gallery so Nate Eaton can give us somewhat of a description. But maybe it's for the best, y'all. Because we've already heard a lot this morning that really has jerked my chain bad. Spectators in the courtroom and overflow areas will not see the photos. Jurors and the defense, including Lori and prosecution, will see the photos. Rob Wood says he did not take a position on the ruling and left it to the discretion of the court. Well, Rob Wood should have dang fought for it, but then again, you know, it is what it is. And as far as Lori being able to see those photos, does anyone really think the woman's going to look? Of course not. She's going to look down. She's not going to look at her handiwork. No. But the good news is this Dr. Warren here is going to be explaining things, and Lori's got to hear it. She ain't got no damn earplugs. She ain't got nothing to keep her from hearing what was done to those babies. And we ain't even got to Tylee yet. That's going to be devastating. And I don't think, y'all, I honestly don't think, I hate it. I really do. But I don't think they're going to have a cause of death for Tylee. I will relay the information said by Dr. Warren about the photos, but cannot describe them as I cannot see them, says Nate Eaton. Dr. Warren describes the first photo as JJ in a black sealed body bag. A red seal is on the ceiling of the zipper of the body bag, and a ruler is apparently on the photos with the case number listed on it. So Nate is going to let us know what the doctor is saying, y'all, but he can't see the photos. I think this Dr. Warren has been very specific in his testimony thus far. I also think that he's perhaps going to use a lot of adjectives that Nate can relay to us, y'all. Lainey, the mask that was found in Lori's garage was a monkey mask. I mean, I don't know if it was a funny monkey mask, whether it was a scary monkey mask. You know, I don't know. Okay, how about this, y'all? Let this sink in. Lori is looking at the screen, y'all. Thomas raises a concern that people sitting behind prosecutors can see their screen. Boyce asks Spencer Ramel to stand behind the screen so he can block the public from viewing the monitor. Boyce jokes, I knew having you on the prosecution would come in handy at some point. I guess that means Spencer Ramel was maybe tall or, you know, I don't know what he meant by that, but he was joking. But for some of y'all that followed the Alex Murdaugh trial, remember how the defense put a piece of paper over it so that poor Alex Murdaugh couldn't see his murdered wife and son, the one that he murdered? Well, Lori's looking at the screen, y'all. She's looking at the screen. I hope she looks really good. Now there's been a change of plans, y'all. The prosecutors turned the monitor around and moved their chairs So they now face the audience, and there's no way for anyone in the audience to see the screen. Rob Wood now asks for another sidebar. Dodging bullets. You saw Alex Murdaugh looking every time at the big screen. I never did see that. I know he's really good at faking his crying though, and if there really was tears, it was only for himself. There are 7 24 by 30-inch monitors placed throughout the jury box. Jurors will clearly see the screens showing the autopsy photos, but those in the audience gallery will not be able to see them. T Diva, that would make sense, don't you know? I don't know why she wouldn't have a problem looking at Tylee. She was jealous of Tylee. She absolutely abused Tylee from a very young age by lying to Tylee and trying to convince and coach Tylee that Joseph Ryan molested her when there was no evidence ever established. Also, in the governmental report, they said there were signs of coaching. That woman absolutely destroyed that little girl from day one. Yes, Margot Jones. Lori called Tylee fat, lazy. She called her a zombie at one time. Tylee couldn't do nothing to live up to. You know, her mother had been a cheerleader. Her mother had been on Wheel of Fortune and pageants. Lori had to make sure Tylee knew how important Lori was to make Tylee feel about 1 inch tall. Yes, Cecilia, I did see that. The interview with Charles Vallow's brother, or was it his son? I seen the one with Charles Vallow's brother where he discussed when him and Charles were very young, they used to walk to the baseball field together. It just tore my heart out. I haven't seen the other one, but I will look it up maybe during lunch or sometime this evening. Thanks for letting me know that. Judge Boyce is back on the bench and says the logistics has been worked out, and Rob Wood continues to question Dr. Warren. I'm not sure if I saw the first interview of Justin Lum with, was it Lori's niece or something? Is that who you're talking about? But I didn't know she had a follow-up one. Somebody had mentioned something about Ashley Banfield had done some interviews too. I just haven't, I haven't really looked, but it's interesting, is it not, that these people in Lori's family are coming out of the woodwork now? I say that in a neutral sense. I don't mean that one way or the other. I just think it's interesting. That's so sad. I don't think any female should ever be measured by what other people consider beautiful or not. The bottom line is society as a whole. This is just my view. You got magazines, you got TV, you got all this stuff that set this narrative that a woman is supposed to look a certain way. And most of the time, a woman is sexualized. But if you put that aside, they make it, if you don't look a certain way, dress a certain way, or wear certain makeup, or do certain things to yourself to enhance yourself, then you're not beautiful. I'm going to tell you what, it comes from within. I know that sounds corny, but it really does. Because I've met some beautiful women, looking at them like, damn, that's a beautiful woman. And then I walk up to them and start talking with them, and the bottom line is they're ugly as hell. And then I've seen women that, just look normal, and you get to know them, and you're like, wow, she is so beautiful. But that's just me. The next image is a red body lock after it's been cut by the forensic team and removed. The next image is a photo after the sealed body bag is open. At that point, we opened that bag and peeled back some of the duct tape, says Dr. Warren. Then we handed over the black bag to law enforcement as evidence, says Dr. Warren. And another thing, this whole damn thing about age, I'm 52 years old, but it don't matter. I've always felt this way. And no matter what age I've been before 52, women are beautiful. No matter what their age, as they get older. I look forward to getting older, to be honest with you, because I'll have more knowledge, I'll have more wisdom, I'll have earned my gray hair, my wrinkles, my weight, whatever it is. I think older women are more beautiful than younger ones, in my opinion. But all women are beautiful, I think, if they want to be. And that comes from within. The next photo is the first view of JJ after they opened the black plastic bag. Warren says there is a white plastic bag over the head wrapped multiple times with duct tape. The next image is a photo of the white bag over the head and the duct tape over the head. That's a good thing there, Margot. Start out old and get younger. Okay, y'all. It's been confirmed. Lori is looking at the monitor. She's looking at her child in a body bag. I've noticed one female juror who is not looking at the screen. She's looking up at the ceiling and rubbing her finger back and forth over her lips. I think these jurors have seen a lot in 11 days of testimony. So put that in perspective, folks. Lori is looking straight into the monitor at JJ laying there in that body bag. She don't have a problem doing that. But you got a complete stranger sitting as a juror who can't bear to look at it. This goes back to a lot of people saying Summer sounded like the mother of those children over Lori in that phone call. Lori is so disconnected from all this, don't y'all know? It's her narcissism. It's her psychopathy. She is absolutely evil. Now, Dr. Warren continues to describe the autopsy photos and the extent of the decomposition fluid. He says, you can see a small portion of his arm, his left upper arm, and you can see it's in a state of decomposition. It has a tan, leathery appearance with skin slippage. Again, y'all, this is not something I want to talk about, but it's part of this case. There are some rays on here that can put that emotional aspect aside and are fascinated with the forensics of all this stuff, I get it, how important it is. The next photo is the lower half of the body showing JJ's pajama pants. The next picture shows the lower half of JJ's body. His ankles are bound with duct tape. The juror who was not looking at the screen is now crying and wiping her eyes with a tissue. Let that sink in, Rays. You got this same woman who couldn't look at the monitor. She's still not looking, but she's crying and wiping her eyes with a tissue. Folks, I've got to say this while I'm thinking of it. I prayed for these jurors. I prayed for them, and I thank God there are jurors on here that have a freaking conscience. Does anybody want to see us gonna say anything about Lori crying, wiping her eyes with a tissue? I don't think so. It's just pathetic. I feel so much in my heart for these jurors. The next image shows duct tape covering JJ's mouth from jawline to jawline. I could beat her ass. Lori just glanced at the screen and then looked away. We carefully removed the plastic bag and the duct tape from JJ's head. Dr. Warren says while describing the photo. There is decomposed tissue and fluid shown in this photo. Why should Lori look away? Oh, maybe it's because Lolo has one of those real weak stomachs, like her weak-ass mind. Because it ain't because she has any kind of compassion that she looked away. She's looking away because maybe, just maybe, she knows lunchtime's coming up. She's going to get her damn sack lunch. She wants to be able to enjoy it. Is that a stretch, y'all? Is that a stretch for OKJ to say something like that? Lori doesn't want to get an upset stomach, y'all. It ain't about love for that little boy. Dr. Warren now describes a photo of the strip of duct tape covering JJ's mouth. JJ's face is in a state of decomposition. It's green in discoloration, and there is skin slippage. Now we know why Kay, Larry, and Crescia are not in the courtroom today. You think when they showed the graphic photos at the beginning of the trial, that would be enough. But this has to be done, y'all. And it's so absolutely devastating. So sad. I can't help but think about Summer telling Lori on that phone call, the kids, you went off to get married on a beach and you didn't even give your kids a proper burial. You wanted to have wedding photos. You know she had to pay for them, but she can't pay. Oh, wait a minute. Let's back up, y'all. Maybe Lori paid for the duct tape and the garbage bags. You know, yo. The next photo is a strip of duct tape that's covering JJ's mouth. It was submitted to police as evidence. The next photo shows JJ's hands wrapped multiple times with duct tape. And as many of the Rays remember at Chad's preliminary hearing, it was like a great big ball of duct tape on the end when he had his arms together from elbow to elbow, and in the center, they had a great big ball of duct tape in the center. And you got to stop and think about that. If there's a great big ball of duct tape in the center there around his hands, think about how many times that had to happen, go round and round and round those hands. If that isn't evil, diabolical, nasty, crazy, I don't know what is. Most of the jurors are looking at their monitors and showing little emotion, but the one I referenced earlier is looking at the witness, at the ceiling, at the prosecutor, or looking down. Dr. Warren says the next photo shows a large band of duct tape that was removed from JJ's arms and given to law enforcement. The next image is the same duct tape taken from a different angle to show the inside of the duct tape. And Dr. Warren says you can see the decomposition staining on large portions of the duct tape. That is a good question, John Shepard. Why would they do that if JJ was sedated? That's a really tough question. Why would they do all that duct taping if he was already unconscious and sedated? Well, John Shepard, so much for me hoping that, my theory was he was unconscious. Maybe that was just me trying to say that would be something I could believe so that I wouldn't have to think about all that. That's a very good point. The next photo is a close-up of the duct tape around JJ's wrist. And Dr. Warren says it appeared it had been wrapped around one wrist, and then the other wrist had been laid on top of it, and then it was wrapped around the other wrist separately. It appeared that it had been wrapped around one wrist, and then the other wrist had been laid on top of it, and then it was wrapped around the other wrist separately. So what he's saying is it was around one wrist, then another one around this wrist, and then they put them together. And the only reason I ask this, y'all, is because if you think about the methodology of how they did that, it gives you a clear picture, or a more clear picture, of whether this was done in haste, why it was done this way. More images are shown of duct tape found wrapped around JJ's wrists. Now Warren describes the diaper that JJ was wearing when he was buried. There is decomposition fluid and sloughed off tissue on the diaper. And folks, when they say diaper, they had those, they're kind of like pull-ups, I would say, he's special needs, he's autistic, maybe he had problems wetting the bed at night. And it might have even been he could have had that problem. And it had nothing to do with him I know there are a lot of kids that go through this phase where they wet the bed at night, but either way you go, that's what they're speaking of. They're speaking of that, I'm assuming. Yeah, Curly Shirley. Let's hope they found forensic evidence on that duct tape, whether it's fingerprints, hair, DNA. All right, y'all. The next photo is of JJ's face. We always get a photograph of the decedent's face, and at the time, it helped us with a preliminary identification based on photos I and everyone else in the room had seen. This did look like JJ, says Dr. Warren. And we know that Brandon didn't go to the room and see JJ in person. They showed Brandon Boudreaux a picture. The next photo is of JJ's upper body, including his face and arms. It shows the state of decomposition he was in, and on his chest, there is a green tan skin discoloration. I have only seen Lori look at the screen once briefly during the presentation of the photos. Well, Lori don't want to ruin her appetite for lunch, don't y'all know? She can't, she's beyond that now. Just like she was beyond the fact that they murdered and buried him in Chad's yard so she could go on to get married in Hawaii. She's beyond that now. That was months ago. Now, Lori doesn't want to look at it because it might upset Lolo's tummy. It might make Lolo feel uncomfortable because it sure as hell ain't going to be about her getting upset about her child or the fact that she was the mother. Maybe, just maybe, she don't want to look at it because she knows if she does that her ass is going to prison. No, Bumblebee, it doesn't say anything that I've seen from Nate Eaton that Lori is crying. But if you're seeing anything from another person live tweeting who's in the courtroom and she's crying, it's for herself. It's for herself. Dr. Warren describes another photo showing JJ's lower half, his legs and his feet. The next picture is of JJ face down. Dr. Warren says we always get photographs of a decedent laying face down so we can better evaluate the back. This simply shows there is a decomposition involving the back and the shoulders. Rob Wood asks about white spots that are apparently on JJ's side, and Dr. Warren said they are likely salt minerals that are part of the decomposition process. The next image shows JJ's lower half from the back down. Y'all, this is so devastating. This just angers me to no end. Cecilia Jackson says this woman was dancing on the beach while her kids were buried in Chad's yard. If that's not demonic, I don't know what is. I agree, Cecilia. I know. Probably my blood pressure's going up a little bit, y'all. I'll probably have to, during lunchtime, probably take my medicine early. I do know my heart rate's up a little bit. I'm trying not to be as emotional. It's kind of hard, but the next image is of JJ's arm highlighted with a ruler. There is some discoloration that could be associated to bruising. Brad R., I know that they got to be, Kay and Larry Woodcock have to be very, oh, now, do they really want to go there? Lori appears to be crying. She's wiping her eyes with tissues and will not look at the screen. The next image shows bruising on JJ's arm. I'll tell you what, that woman is crying for herself. She's not crying for her child. She sure as hell wasn't crying on that damn beach while she's married that damn asshole. Y'all know it. Was she crying when they were on their honeymoon while they're having sex and all that stuff? No, she was getting on with her life. She's crying, y'all. She's crying because this is what she allowed and was part of. And she knows she's never going to be free again. Roxy says, crocodile tears. I can't stand that demon. Let me tell you something. You think this woman's doing this naturally? You really think that? She's probably thinking in her own mind, I'm never going to be free again. You know, maybe the jurors will forget when Summer on the phone call yesterday said they were buried like garbage. And I said, well, that was months ago. I had to get on with my life. Don't you know? I had to get on with my life, Sammy. This woman is... it's unbelievable, y'all. The next image is a portion of JJ's right upper arm where there was hemorrhaging, which Warren says is consistent with bruising. Yeah, just looking. Lori is probably crying because she can't see that Johnson of Chad's anymore. I give her absolutely no sympathy or compassion for her feelings because she don't have feelings. If she has, they're for herself. Denise Dobbs says JJ fought. He had to have had bruising on him. Where did that bruising come from? Yeah, Julie Cole, she's not guilty, don't you know? Well, she never shed a tear one time. She never shed a tear one time on her murder spree. All the way back with Joseph Ryan, with Charles Vallow, the children's murders, the attempt on Brandon's life, Tammy Daybell. Not one tear did that woman ever cry once. In fact, all of us remember her just smiling, acting like everything was fine, walking down that sidewalk, which had Daybell. She had her cute little beach bag with her. She had every look about her that showed she had pure joy in her life at the time, y'all. Not a single tear. Not one. She didn't cry when she talked to Kobe. She didn't cry when she talked to Summer. Dr. Warren describes a photo of the left side of JJ's neck. And the doctor says there are a couple of things you can see. One, you can see a slight or faint impression of where the duct tape was around the neck. You can see multiple brown to light brown abrasions, some with a small amount of red hemorrhage. that was scattered on the left side of his neck. That's right, Ashley Shannon. Then the kid's money, no tears then. Oh, of course, she had to take that $4,000 to $6,000 she's getting a month after her kids were murdered. She was buying all kinds of things. Don't you know she probably purchased stuff at Hobby Lobby? We know she had been, before the kids were murdered, her and Alex both was ponying up the money to fly Chad out so that him and Lori could screw, meet in hotels, go to temples and pretend, do their role-playing bullshit. And she wants to cry now. Does she want to explain to everyone now why the tears are flowing now? She never had them before. Why have them now? For one reason and one reason only. Her ass is grass. Her ass is going to prison. She will never, ever be free again. Dr. Warren says that these scattered red hemorrhages and light brown abrasions appear to be scratch-like abrasions on JJ's neck. And don't y'all find it almost ironic that he is pointing out scratches on JJ's neck? And it was Melanie Gibb and David Warwick talking about Chad Daybell having scratches on his neck from JJ. Y'all, sometimes this stuff works itself out in a spiritual way. I believe there is a lot that can be said, and I know the Rays on here believe this. When it comes to a murdered body, it absolutely does speak from the grave. Bumblebee, I will be praising God Almighty, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit if they find Chad or Lori's fingerprints on that duct tape. Because Alex has already shit himself and died in Zulima's bathroom. For all we know, he's burning in hell. I'm not saying that's where he's at. I don't think I'd want to wish that on anyone. But then again, as many of you know, hell to me isn't necessarily the devil's house with a bunch of pitchforks and fire and brimstone and all that stuff. All of that stuff, probably, it's in Holy Scripture. But I think to me, it's like none of that is really anything to be scared about. Hell to me is complete and total separation from God Almighty, the Creator. That is hell to me. So all that other stuff is nothing compared to being separated from my God. Dr. Warren describes a photo that shows bright red bruising under JJ's fingernails, y'all. It essentially means there has been trauma to that area and blood vessels have been broken. It essentially has caused a bruise under his fingernails, y'all. You just think about that. Trauma under the fingernails means JJ must have fought, y'all. Exhibit 176 is a picture of JJ. JJ's lower body and possible bruising, Dr. Warren says. I mean, really, y'all, how do you get bruising and broken blood vessels under your fingernails unless you're fighting for your life? You know, it hurts me to say that, but in some ways it's like, well, if they were going to murder him regardless, I'm glad he did fight. I hope that he made it really hard on them. Because they were bound and determined to murder him anyway. And yes, OK Joe would like to believe that they gave him GHB and he was unconscious at the time. But now as this moves forward, y'all, I have to shake my head about it. And that's a great point, Tara St. Myers. Bruises only happen when you're alive. You don't get them post-mortem. Yeah, Bryn Marshall, I see where you're coming from. Absolutely. Yeah, in subtle ways, David Warwick and Melanie Gibb, because they cannot and will not, because they'd end up in jail too, if they would just only tell the truth, but they're not going to. That is the sad reality of all of this. Yes, they've crafted a story that still makes it look like Lori and Chad are guilty, which they are, minus Melanie Gibb and David Warwick and Zulema and Melanie Pulowski and all the rest. Their involvement, they've been able to distance themselves by lying on the stand, in my opinion. And really, if it comes down to it, we do want a conviction for Lolo there, and we do want a conviction for that damn asshole, Chad. But I told the Rays this. When we got together 2 years ago, I wanted to see the adjudication process played out. I wanted to be able to see justice unfold. I wanted to know that out of all this evil, terrible stuff that happens in the world, that there is something there that we can rely on since we're here anyway, and that ultimately justice comes from above. The bottom line is when they didn't arrest these cult members, there is no full measure of justice, man's justice, in this case. I've accepted that, and that is my opinion. On the other hand, there's God's justice, there's man's law, there's God's law. I have confidence and faith in that, and that's what gives me comfort about the fact that these other cult members are going to get what's coming to them. Now, Rob Wood is finished with the exhibits, and Boyce says the victims will be allowed to view. The exhibits if they would like in another setting. I guess the victims' family members. Prosecutors are readjusting their seats to get the monitors and seats back to normal. The feeling in the courtroom is very heavy. Even though the audience did not see the photos, we heard the description and could tell at least one juror was affected by them. And I'm going to tell y'all, if these juror members, after hearing what they've heard this last 11 days of testimony, if they can look over there and see Lori crying and wiping her eyes and believe that that is true remorse or that they feel sorry for her, they are absolutely fooled by the demons in that woman. Rob Wood asked Dr. Warren if the bruises on J-Day's body were from before or after he died. And this is what one of y'all said on here. Dr. Warren says they were pre-mortem because when somebody dies, there is no circulation, so bodies can't bruise. I'll tell you what, THX, I don't know if Lori put the bag over J-Day's head, But do you think Alex or Chad would take the time to fold up a blue blanket and lay it on top of JJ? Do you really think that's what they would do? After what they did to him? Lori put that blue blanket on JJ. It was a folded up one. She didn't wrap JJ in it. She folded up a blue blanket and she laid it on JJ. Knowing, y'all, knowing when she laid that blanket, right? She could see the blanket wasn't underneath the duct tape or the garbage bags. You see, the blanket was, well, it was between there was a white trash bag, duct tape, and then there was black over that. In other words, what I'm telling you is whoever put that blue blanket on JJ, folded up on him like that, they could see the duct tape at least, or the white trash bag over the head when they did that. It's the order of what they did. That's right, Lenny. I don't see a man doing that. I don't see a man folding up a blanket and putting it on JJ. Rob Wood asked if the bruises on the neck could be decomposition, and Dr. Warren does think so. Wood now asked if Warren was involved in the autopsy of Tylee Ryan. It started on the same day as JJ's, June 11th of 2020. Tylee's autopsy was done after JJ's. And y'all, considering how Tylee was found, there's not really, I don't think it would have lasted as long. Now, Dr. Warren says Tylee's autopsy was different. The vast majority of the time when I perform an autopsy, I get an entire body, and there's a process we go through. Tylee's case was different. Her remains were received in 3 separate sealed bags, y'all. Tylee's remains were in 3 separate bags, and Lori needs her ass stomped. 2 of the bags were black body bags, and the third was a large brown paper bag that was sealed. Within that, contacted 5 other paper bags within, so I essentially received Tylee's remains in multiple different bags, says Dr. Warren. Dr. Warren says Tylee's oh, well, this is interesting, y'all. Remember when I said a minute ago that this one probably wouldn't take as long as JJ's? But Dr. Warren says Tylee's autopsy took about a week. All of the remains were x-rayed, y'all. They were thorough, see? Tylee's autopsy took longer than JJ's, y'all. Dr. Warren says we were looking for anything. Bullets, a portion of a knife, any other foreign debris that we could collect as evidence. No projectiles or portions of weapons were found. Damn. Essentially, what we saw was a collection of bones along with other debris, a lot of mud and dirt. And Lori's sitting there at the defense table knowing that her beautiful daughter Tylee had a lot of mud and dirt mixed in with her chopped up, burned up, dismembered body. Oh, Lori, are you going to be able to eat your sack lunch here at lunchtime? Don't look at the monitor, Lori. You got to keep that appetite going. There's not many things that you get to take pleasure in now that you're in jail. It's devastating, y'all. Absolutely devastating. Roxy says, my God, this is too much. I'm just, I'm not going to get emotional, y'all. I'm going to get angry. Or I'm going to make fun of that damn whore. That's what I'm going to do. Because I am not going to fall apart on this. Elise says, my heart breaks for them babies, my Lord. Tina Reddington says, I hope Lori gets a liverwurst and ketchup sandwich for lunch. Leave it to you, Tina. Leave it to you. I never know what's going to come out of your mouth, Tina Reddington. Y'all, I appreciate all these comments. It's very sad. It's very hurtful. Leslie Hagman says, I'm in Boise and I want to go to the courthouse with a pitchfork. Well, just wait, Leslie. Let me hop on a plane from Tennessee and I'll meet you there. I'll be the one with the torch. I'll take that torch and I'll shove it so far up her ass, it winks at her. Okay, y'all. There was no blood or urine to send for a toxicology, but Dr. Warren says you can send skeletal muscle. He cut into the skeletal muscle and got the best tissue he could. He sent that in for a toxicology report. All right, y'all. The report came back positive for ibuprofen, a common decompositional product, carboxyhemoglobin, and iron. Carboxyhemoglobin in a fire is often released along with multiple other cases. If that is breathed in and the person is alive, you'll get a high carboxyhemoglobin level. That's why we did the test. In this particular case, the carboxyhemoglobin level came back extremely low. Okay. So she wasn't alive when they burned her. There's no evidence to support that Tylee was alive when she was burned. Thank you, Lord. I thought we were fixing to hear the other thing, y'all, and I was going to go off the deep end. Dr. Warren was able to find Tylee's heart connected to her right and left lung, one kidney, a few small segments of bowel, a portion of a liver, and small fragments of brain matter. These organs had severe decomposition, significant burning artifacts. They were charred and shrunken. Presumably, the rest of the organs burned away or were never found. I just don't know what to say to that, y'all. I honestly am sitting here in my mind trying to take this in. All I keep thinking about is that Lori's sitting at that defense table. And I pray that she has heard every word that's come out of this Dr. Warren's mouth and that it never leaves her mind. Dr. Warren was able to identify Tylee's pelvis with her femur, portions of her skull, including the area where her eyeball would be, and portions where her teeth would have been. Multiple long bones and rib fragments were also identified. Dr. Warren says there were not any nice clean bones. These were bones that had significant artifacts secondary to the fire. They were blackened and charred, says Warren. Yeah, they wanted to make damn sure. They wanted to make damn sure nobody could ever find out about what happened to Tylee. And to top it all off, if somehow, some way her body, they didn't want her body found at all, but if it was going to be found, it was going to be like that. Then they had concrete and a layer of bricks. They wanted to make sure nobody could ever discover Tylee, y'all. All right, y'all, you ready? Dr. Warren determined Tylee's cause of death as homicide by unspecified means. Dr. Warren determined Tylee's cause of death. The cause of death was homicide, but I just can't pinpoint exactly what that was. And y'all, Tylee they deserve to know what happened to Tylee. If anyone thinks that Lori or Chad's ever going to give up the goods on that, or the rest of these cult members, because I think they knew too, no one's ever going to know about Tylee. But you know what? Let's look at there is no bright side to any of this. But what if they would have decided to do the same exact thing to J.J. Ballo? Healthy inferences can be drawn, y'all. Because J.J. Ballo absolutely had a cause of death, asphyxia, then you know that there's a high probability to do the same thing to Tylee. I mean, that's a healthy inference. I'm not saying that that's what happened. I got y'all, my battery's fixing to run down. Hold on, maybe they'll go to lunch. So now, y'all, we are now taking an hour lunch break. So let's let all this soak in. We'll get back together after lunch. We'll be back here in an hour. Thank y'all so much for being here, going through this most terrible, tragic stuff. We'll be back here real soon, y'all. I love you all. Look for me in about an hour. Keep on looking.